Welcome back to Politics Nation. Let's be honest, folks. Ever since Governor Romney's big announcement on Saturday, things haven't been going well for the campaign. Suddenly, Paul Ryan's budget is all anyone wants to talk about. So, surprise, surprise, they're changing the conversation. As the New York Times points out, the campaign is shifting focus. Forget jobs. Forget the economy. This is the ticket's new talking point.
The president's campaign is all about division and attack and hatred. I think Unhinged would have to characterize what we've seen from the president's campaign. It's designed to bring a sense of enmity and jealousy and anger.
Mr. President, take your campaign of division and anger and hate back to Chicago and let us get about rebuilding and reuniting America.
Personal attacks and the kind of divisiveness that I think is unbecoming of the presidency.
It's the most partisan, divisive climate we've ever had.
Divisive? Anger and hate? They're trying to drag the president's likability down, but he's not falling for it.
We're going around the country talking about how do we put people back to work. I don't think you or anybody who's been watching me campaign would suggest that in any way we have tried to divide the country. We've always tried to bring the country together.
Now, this new strategy from the Romney team is going to be a tough sell. Joining me now is Jonathan Capehart, opinion writer for the Washington Post and an MSNBC contributor, and Margie O'Mara, Democratic strategist. Thank you both for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rev.
Let's go to you first, Jonathan. I thought this was supposed to be about jobs and the economy. How did things get so ugly?
Things got so ugly because Mitt Romney chose Congressman Paul Ryan to be his running mate. At first, we were all talking about how it was a bold move, but after you said it was a bold move, you had to focus on why it was a bold move, and it was because Paul Ryan is the author of the Ryan Plan, two budgets that have been passed by the House since he became House Budget Committee chairman, a plan that he has had on paper since January 2010 when he wrote a roadmap for America's future in an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. He's put his ideas out there concretely and crystal clear, and it's provided a big target for Democrats and for critics to aim at. And we know that the Ryan budget is a liability because we saw what happened in the special election in New York, District 26, when Kathy Hochul was able to beat a Republican in what was deemed a Republican-safe seat because she ran against the Ryan budget, explicitly against the Ryan budget.
She ran on that budget. You know, in today's New York Times, I was reading about the shift in the campaign's tone. Margie, it says, and I'm reading from the article, Romney is now running a campaign more focused on energizing an anti-Obama coalition than on trying to expand the universe of Romney voters with an argument that he is the most qualified economic steward. Kind of a bit of a shift here.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You have few undecideds. You have a lot of people who say they've made up their mind. And Mitt Romney's been net unfavorable for months now. So as people have gotten to know him, they continue to not really warm up to him. And so it makes sense for them, I guess, from their perspective, to try to muddy the waters by saying, well, the president's unlikable also. But it's not really going to work. I mean, people don't really buy that about the president. And when they learn more about the Ryan plan, they may appreciate that he has a plan, but that doesn't mean they're going to like the actual plan. And they're going to find that that's really that plan, the Ryan plan's a campaign of hatred in its own right. It's a campaign of divisiveness and really encourages people to turn on one another.
Well, in that last statement where she was talking about, when Margie was talking about their campaign being divisive, Jonathan, if you look at the fact that they have had rhetoric throughout the campaign, and as late as a few days ago, really statements that were very divisive. Listen to this.
There's one line called place of birth. I'd like to see what he said. Perhaps it's going to say Hawaii. Perhaps it's going to say Kenya.
If they want to punch us, we're going to punch back with brass knuckles. If any person in this entire debate has blood on their hands in regard to Medicare, it's Barack Obama.
I wish this president would learn how to be an American.
Now, these are all Romney surrogates. One, the chairman of the party, other spokespeople for him, other supporter of his. Then you contrast that with the fact that the president and the vice president, in terms of personal assessments, have been very positive about Mr. Romney and Ryan. Look at this.
I know him. I welcome him to the race. Congressman Ryan is a decent man. He is a family man.
Congressman Ryan, who's a good guy. He's a decent guy.
Now, Mr. Romney is a patriotic American. He's got a beautiful family.
He's a decent man, and as is Romney, and I mean that sincerely.
Congressman Ryan. No. Congressman Ryan, I know him. He's a good man, beautiful family.
So now, Jonathan, we know about the vice president's change statement, but when talking about their opponents personally, very complimentary. Their surrogates, their attacks, very personal on the president. Who's being divisive here?
Well, clearly, by the setup of your question, yes, the Romney campaign is being divisive, and they're being divisive for the reasons that you started talking about at the top of this segment. It's because it's to divert attention away from the overall conversation about the Ryan's plans for Medicare, and also the disconnect between what Ryan wants to do and what Mitt Romney wants to do. And quite frankly, we don't know exactly what he wants to do in terms of the specificity as much as Paul Ryan wants to do. But look, when you listen to what the president and the vice president say about Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney, talking about them personally, they're decent men, family men. They're trying to make it clear to the people who are listening and to the American people that their disagreements with those two men are not personal. They are on policy. And so, you know, when you've got Ryan and Romney doing what they're doing and saying what they're saying, they're ginning up their base, but they're ginning up a base that is so angry with this president on a deep personal level that they're hoping that will be, you know, the few more people that they can squeeze out to vote on those lines will be what will push them in the White House.
Yeah, in 2004, they called it swift voting. Marge, let me ask you, the politics of it, the facts speak for themselves. Look at the weekend's announcement. Before the announcement over the weekend, President Obama in the polls was at 45, Mitt Romney at 46. After the weekend's announcement, President Obama's at 45, Mitt Romney's at 47. With all that bold deciding, a 1-point increase, I don't think Mr. Ryan came in with the great lift that everyone thought he would.
Yeah, I mean, I think here in Washington we want to have immediate gratification. We want to see immediately what the results are and what the impact of the Ryan pick will be. I think it's going to be a while, but it's certainly in terms of an immediate jolt. I don't know if it's having an immediate jolt overall. I think it is exciting for the base, and I think that Ryan has some warmth that Romney lacks, but I think by the tone of the ads that they have up and by these other sideshows of calling the Obama team a hateful campaign, they're really stepping on their own rollout, and I think that's a mistake. I mean, ultimately, this should be about them trying to sell the Ryan plan, such as it is. But I guess maybe they've seen polling that shows that that's really unpopular, and so they decided to take this other strategy.
Jonathan Capehart, Margie O'Mara, thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rev.
Coming up, is it a campaign or is it a classroom?
Excuse me? Well, let's see. I got to rest. There we go.
We'll tell you why Mr. Romney's Medicare class was not accurate, and the right doubles down on its effort to block the vote. But we're not going to let that happen. You're watching Politics Nation on MSNBC.